Hello everyone. So in last session we discussed about JDBC API and we discussed how we can perform the different operations in the JDBC API. Now in the today's session we are going to discuss about Hibernate ORM tool. Okay, very important and powerful ORM framework in Java. To understand Hibernate, it's better to let revisit the JDBC and to understand the JDBC limitations. Okay, so in last session, we created the JDBC code. We perform the different operations like we find the employee, we find by name. So you guys can see here, there are the different steps we have to do simultaneously. Okay, so like we have to create the statements, we have to execute the statement, then after we have to handle it through try catch block, and very important thing is that we have to write the query manually. Okay, so it's kind very, when you are performing the operation and Java developer is more familiar with class and attributes, but here we need to be familiar with the tables and columns. Okay, so this kind of limitations you saw. Okay, so what are the JDBC disadvantages? So first and very important is that we need to create statement to perform execute the code. For that we need statement, then after our statement will execute. Okay, then very important thing is that SQL dependency. Okay, so SQL dependent, our code, our query, we need to be write the SQL query manually, which make our code is database dependent. Okay, so because of the SQL query, what we have to do, our code, our SQL query is database dependent. That we see already. The JDBC code is database dependent. It means if you write the code for Oracle and suddenly if requirement come to change into Derby, then again you need to be change your code again and again. Okay, and very important thing is that there is no catching. There is no catching. Okay, so JDBC does not allow the catching. Okay, so it means every query is directly hits the database. Okay, so these are the disadvantages we saw. Okay, you might think connection. Okay, connection you might think, but connection we already handled through one class. Okay, so connection is not the disadvantage for JDBC, but JDBC disadvantage is that database dependent. Okay, so what is database dependent? So already we discussed MySQL, you need to be write manual query. For Derby, you need to be write manual query. So for that, we need to be discussed about Hibernate framework. Okay. So what is Hibernate framework? So now let us see Hibernate framework. So Hibernate is a framework and it is a ORM tool. Okay, so Hibernate is a ORM tool. So let us understand what exactly ORM tool means. Okay, so I'm going to draw here one diagram and let's see what exactly ORM tool. So ORM, it basically used to map Java object to the database tables. Okay, so it means Java objects, or you can say classes that converts into into database. Okay, so it means now we don't need to be more focused on rows and the table and column. We just work on the classes on object automatically. Our database will configure for us. Okay, so for example, the ORM tool is like you have created class employee and employee having certain attributes like integer EID, string ename, double E salary. Okay, so now you have the different attributes here, and you have a class employee. So with the help of this ORM tool, what will happen? Now your table, with the help of ORM tool, your table will convert inside database. So for example, this is your database. So now your table, your class is now converted inside database is in form of table. Okay, so now with the help of ORM tool, your Java objects are mapped to table. So here EID, ename, eSalary. Okay, so like this. So what is ORM tool? So it is a programming technique that map the Java objects to the database table. Okay, automatic the process of storing, retrieving, updating the data in the database. So with the help of the ORM tool, we can manipulate the Java object. Clear everyone? Okay. So here you can see we have employee class, and that employee class now we have converted inside the table, and that table, the table name is our class name. So now with the help of ORM tool, now our table name changed, and our table now is employee, and the attributes are our column names are our attribute name. Okay, so what exactly conclusion of this? So instead of writing SQL, we will work on the Java objects, and ORM handles the SQL behind the scenes. Okay, so here ORM can work for our SQL queries that we need to be see in the Hibernate. Okay, so I hope now you clear to the meaning of the what exactly the ORM tool. So let us understand what is Hibernate. Okay, so Hibernate is an open source ORM framework. There are multiple ORM frameworks are available. Like we have Struct1, Struct2, iBatis, Toppling. Okay, so multiple ORM tools we have. So Hibernate is an open source ORM tool. Okay, so it basically used to simplify database operation. Okay, so for that we are using the Hibernate framework. Okay, then what we do with the help of Hibernate? So very important thing that we can map. So mapping the Java classes to database table. Very important. To mapping the Java classes into database object, database tables, and very important thing is that it's provide caching, lazy loading that we'll see practically. Then after internally Hibernate you use a Hibernate query language. So Hibernate query language it's provide. Okay, so with the help of SQL, we can perform the operations on the database. Okay, so this is all about Hibernate. So Hibernate is basically what? Hibernate is an ORM tool. So with the help of ORM tool, we can convert our attributes and our class inside the database table and columns. Okay, so we can do this operation with the help of XML file, this annotation. Okay, so we can use to convert this our class to our table with the help of XML and annotation. Okay, that we have to see practically. But before that, I want to clear to all of you what exactly mean by ORM tool. Okay, so now let us understand what are the features we have in Hibernate. Okay, so very important thing is that Hibernate is database independent. Okay, so database independent first feature. Okay, so what exactly I mean? So database independent means in Hibernate there is no dependency on database. Okay, so we have here one word is known as dialect. So dialect very important word when we are working for the Hibernate. So we have to change one line. Okay, if we change dialect according to database, then our whole the instructions are will work like our database. Okay, so if you have Oracle database and now you want to change your database to Derby, so you have to change your dialect to Derby, then automatically your data will be work like Derby. Okay, then after we have very important thing. Okay, second is that we have automatic table creation. Okay, so in the second, we see automatic table creation. So, can automatically create, update database. Okay, then we can create table based on entity and class name. Then very important thing is that HQL. Okay, so Hibernate internally use HQL, so it is a Hibernate query language. Okay, you can say object-oriented query language, independent of the SQL dialect. So here internally we are using the HCQL, Hibernate query language. Okay, so the query language will work on the classes and the objects. Okay, then after we have here lazy loading. Okay, that we will see practically as well. We have here support of annotations and XML. So this thing we have to do for the Hibernate. Then very important thing is our ORM support. So Hibernate internally uses ORM. So with the help of ORM, we can map Java classes to the our database tables using the annotation and XML file. So the at the end, I want to tell everyone is that inside JDBC, we have to perform operations manually. We have to convert our queries to statement. We need to be write manual queries, and then after our code will execute, and then after our table is created inside the database. But in the Hibernate, what will happen? Hibernate support ORM tool. So with the help of ORM tool, our classes now going to convert inside the database is in form of table and the columns. Okay, so whatever the attributes you have, that attributes you gonna store inside the table, and your table would be your class name and your columns name would be your attributes name. Okay, so I hope now everyone is clear with this diagram. Okay, so here your class is your table name and your attributes are your column names. So that things needs to be performed in the Hibernate. So in our next session, we are going to do practically. So this is the introduction about the Hibernate, and rest of the things we are going to see the practically. Okay. So thank you everyone.